There's one decision that most of us need to make in our retirement planning that could make the difference of 10, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars to the bottom line. Do you know what it is? Stick around, folks. We will fill you in. Welcome to the show. Show's called Your Money or Wealth. Joe Anderson here. I'm a certified financial planner and president of Pure Financial Advisors. Of course, I'm with the big man, Big Al Clopine. Hello, Big Al.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing all right. I want to help people break things down to put more dollars into your overall pocket in retirement. Social Security is very complex, but also extremely important to your overall retirement picture. You have to pay attention because there's a lot of different ways to claim your overall benefits. But if I were to ask you, how many of you know all the different areas that affects your overall benefit? What would you guess? 1 in 10. 1 in 10 got this quiz right. Let's close that gap. That's today's Financial Focus. Okay, this is interesting. 1 in 10 people figured out, all right, well, what calculates their overall benefit? 60% got this right, work history. All right, you got to put into the system. I got to pay into the system to get anything back. 51% got age. So 49% didn't know age was included in the overall factor of the benefit. Benefit start date, marital status, 18%. Some people thought life expectancy. How about family medical history? 5% thought, hey, if we have good history. Or all of the above, 24% thought all of these were included in calculating the benefit. Let's break it down. Let's get it simple and help you boost your overall benefit. Let's bring in Big Al Clopine.
All right, well, first of all, Social Security benefits. Let's talk about who qualifies and how much you're going to be receiving. And then let's talk about boosting your benefits, or how can you maximize those benefits. Then we want to get into bridging the benefits, because if you delay your benefits, you'll get a lot more, but you're going to have to be able to pay your bills during that period. And finally, we'll get into a little bit of taxation. And Joe, this is usually one of our favorite TV shows to do, because it affects virtually everybody, or almost everybody.
Yeah, well, without question, if you understand all of these different categories, I mean, it could make a huge difference. I mean, we've seen tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars of added benefit if they do the right calculation. And it's all specific to, I mean, I wish we could have a map and say, this is how you claim, right? But all of you...
It's pretty complicated.
Yeah, it gets a little complicated, and all of you are a little bit different. But why is this important? So almost 40% of all of us men out there, 42% of women are counting on Social Security to cover over 50% of their overall income. This is a huge deal, Al.
Well, it is, and when you think about it, the way this was originally designed, it was designed to cover maybe 25%, maybe up to 33% of your income, basically to keep us all out of severe poverty. But this is not meant to replace your income or even come close to it. And many of you, it's 50% or more of your income in retirement. So if that's the case, you got to get this right in terms of your claiming strategies.
Here's another interesting stat, is that, all right, you can claim your benefits at 62, right? That's your earliest age that you can claim your retirement benefit. And then you can claim it at 70. 62, you get a permanent haircut on the overall benefit. You get a reduced benefit. At age 70, you get a lot larger benefit. But let's look. Where are people claiming? Are they claiming the largest benefit? No. Only 2% of men are doing this and 4% of women. Where are they all going? They're claiming it as soon as they can get it, right? 42% of men, almost 50% of women take the benefit at 62, which will give them the lowest benefit. So there's maybe some disconnects in the education out there of maybe what should people be doing.
Right, and Joe, the other thing too is that people are working longer, and when you're working longer, you actually, if you take your benefit at 62 and you're still working and you make more than about $20,000, you got to start giving that benefit back. So it's only until you reach full retirement age, which in this year, 2022, is 66 and 4 months. It's only at that point where you can actually receive your full benefit and continue to work, right? And so a lot of people don't really realize that they they collect early and then they got to give it back anyway.
Right. Well, I understand why so many people claim it at 62. It's like, okay, well, if you're retired, well, I want to get a paycheck coming in. Right? I'm used to having that paycheck, and maybe I don't trust the system. I mean, there's all sorts of different things that people are looking at here. But let's just break it down. Who qualifies, right? So minimum employment, 10 years, 40 quarters. So you have to put into the system for 10 years or 40 quarters, okay? Earliest age you can collect is age 62. That's your retirement benefit. Your survivor benefit you can claim a little bit early at age 60. And then there's also spouse and survivor benefits as well that we'll talk about in a little bit. But there's two real big factors. Now you got to put into the system, and then you have to qualify from an age perspective.
Well, you do. And then to figure out how much you actually qualify for, you may be getting statements once a year or every few years. Or if you're not, if you haven't got a statement for a while, go to the Social Security website. That's ssa.gov. You can actually set up an online account and check your status at any point. It will tell you what your benefit would be at age 62 and full retirement age and age 70. And also it'll give you things like survivor benefits and spousal benefits potentially. So the way that this is calculated is they take your 35 highest income years, and they'll take some of the years where you worked 35 years ago where you're making less, and they will add an inflation factor to make this fair, right? But they'll take 35 years. Now, if you only work 20 years, then they're going to figure 15 years at zero. So that will potentially affect your benefits. So just be aware of that.
Yeah, really good point is that, like a lot of pensions that some of you have, they might take the highest 3 years or maybe the highest 5 years, and they calculate your pension based on that. Social Security is going back all the way up 35 years, right? So, but they're indexing those wages with inflation, and then they take an average of those 35 years and divide it by 420, and then they come up with all sorts of different calculations and replacement ratios, and it gets somewhat complicated, but then that gets your primary insurance amount. So like Al said, go here, ssa.gov. You can look and start planning to see what your overall benefit is. How do you max this thing out? Okay, well, a couple different ways that you could do this. Full retirement age, keep it simple. It's 66 and 4 months, but let's just say 66. If you take it at 62, that's fine, but you're gonna receive a 25% permanent haircut on that benefit. For instance, 66, your benefit is $1,000 a month. You take it at 62, you're going to receive $750, okay? Or you could take it at 63, 64, 65, anywhere in between. But this is your full retirement age. If you delay, you get an 8% delayed retirement credit every year that you wait. So if you wait until age 70, you get a 32% increase. Okay, so here are your options. When do you want to claim your benefit? 66, do you want to claim it at 62, receive a lower benefit, but you get the cash in hand? Or do you want to delay it? But, I don't know if I want to delay it. I don't know if it's going to be there. Or you could die too, right? There's a lot of different things that you have to calculate given your overall benefit strategy. If you need help with this, here's what we're doing today. We're going to give all of you a free Social Security analysis. We'll run your numbers. We will look at what is the most optimal way for you to claim your benefit. If you're married, if you're single, if you're a widow, a widower, whatever, we can run the numbers for you and give you some ideas on how to truly max out the benefit that you deserve. That's our gift for you today. Go to yourmoneyorwealth.com. We gotta take a break. Show's called Your Money or Wealth. Hey, welcome back to the show. Show's called Your Money or Wealth. Joe Anderson here, certified financial planner with Big Al Clopine. Go to yourmoneyorwealth.com. What we're giving away is that Social Security analysis, and we can help you out with a claiming strategy. Let's see how you did on the true-false question.
Do you have Social Security withheld on your entire salary? Joe, what do you think? Is that true or false?
Some people, absolutely true. Others, false.
That's a correct statement. I agree with you.
$147,000. So they will take out Social Security or FICA for retirement benefits up to $147,000 of income. After $147,000 of income, they won't take out that FICA tax, or it's 6.25 or 6.5%.
6.2.
6.2% is what they'll take from here than anything over. So let's say if you maxed out your benefits, what does that look like? Here's the most that anyone can receive from Social Security. So at 62, it's $2,400. At age 70, it's about $4,200. I mean, these numbers are getting pretty big, Al.
They're pretty big, but I would say, Joe, don't necessarily count on these amounts because this is if you max it out for like 35 years. So the average benefit right now across the United States is about $1,700. So that's more likely what you might be getting. But this is why we get so excited about talking about Social Security. You see some of these numbers and you can see how much difference it could make in your retirement if you just figure out how to do this, when to claim, spousal benefits, and survivor, as we'll get into.
Yeah. There's a lot of confusion on, all right, well, hey, maybe I never worked. I never put into the system. So what does that mean? Do I not qualify for any of these benefits? Not necessarily. There's a spousal benefit. So as long as you are married to an individual for at least 10 years, you will be eligible for their spousal benefit.
Yeah, and Joe, so spousal benefit, so it starts at age 62. That's the earliest you can claim, so be aware of that. You don't necessarily even have to be married to get the spousal, just as long as you were married 10 years earlier. If you're currently married, your spouse must be collecting benefits. If you're formally married, your ex-spouse must be at least 62 and eligible for benefits. And then the benefit itself is 50% of your spouse's benefits up to the full retirement age. So if your spouse waits to age 70, right, you're only going to get half of what he or she would have received at age 66, indexed for inflation.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So spousal benefits is that you take a look at what your benefit is, or you take a look at half of your spouse's. Right, so if you don't have an earnings record, so that would be zero. And let's say your spouse has a $2,000 full retirement age benefit. If you claim your spousal benefit at full retirement age, you will receive $1,000, half of that benefit. If your spouse waits until age 70, you will only receive 50% of that benefit at his or her full retirement age. So if the spouse waits until age 70, it doesn't necessarily matter. Claim those spousal benefits. You can claim your spousal benefit as early as 62 as long as the other spouse is claiming. Right? Just hearing me talk about this is getting me confused, right? It's a lot of stuff going on, but again, minimum age is 62. If you claim it at 62, you're not getting 50%, you're getting something less. Your spouse has to claim. But wait, you can claim on a former spouse. How about that, right? You get divorced, you can claim on that person's record, right? It doesn't reduce the other person's record, unfortunately, or fortunately.
That's absolutely right. It does get confusing when you keep talking about it. Now, one thing people always want to know is like, what's a break-even point? Yeah, so I could claim at 62 and get all these benefits, or I wait till 70 and I've got 8 years, I missed payments, right? But the break-even is if you're spending the money that you're getting is usually around 80 years of age, 79, 80, 81 years of age. It could be a little bit different if you're saving and investing. But Joe, I think this is kind of what people need to think about. Now, if you have impaired life expectancy and you don't think either husband or wife is going to make it to 80 or even close to 80, you might want to claim early for that reason.
Yeah, there's all sorts of different reasons why people want to claim here, right? It's like, hey, I want bird in hand, I'm going to claim at 62, and other people, no, I'm going to wait until age 70. Well, then they think about it as a break even. So if you take all the benefits at 62, you add up all of those benefits, when do they intersect? Well, here in this example is that Joe, myself at 66, my benefit is $1,900. Aaron, her benefit was $900. So if Joe and Aaron both claimed at 62, or if they both claimed at 70, the break even is right around 80. It doesn't necessarily matter what these numbers are. You could run it any which way. Usually that break even is anywhere from 78 to 82, depending on what calculator or what type of assumptions that people make here. So if you think you're going to live a little bit longer, it might make sense to hold off. But also, you have to look at so many different factors. It's life expectancy, it's health, it's family history, it's what are your other assets. So when you start combining different things, you're going to make different choices than just looking at this in a bubble. I think, Al, this is where people make mistakes. They're like, oh, the break-even's 80, I'm going to die at 78. I'm going to take it early. Well, we don't know what the heck's going to happen.
No, you don't. And I think you and I tend to look at this the same. We sort of treat this as longevity insurance in a way, In other words, it's a guaranteed income for life. You don't know how long you're going to live. Medical improvements keep happening. So in many cases, it pays to wait as long as you can. Now, if you need the money, claim it. I mean, that's kind of obvious, right? But if you can wait, that might be a good way to go. We should talk briefly about survivor benefits, and that can be with your current spouse or even a former spouse, as long as you've been married at least 10 years. So that works. Here you can start claiming as early as age 60. Spousal was 62, survivor benefit is 60. Realize if you're claiming before your full retirement age, you're going to get a haircut for life, so just be aware of that. And then you can receive 100% of your spouse or ex-spouse's benefit. A little different than spousal. Spousal benefit, your spouse is still alive, you get 50%. Survivor, you get 100%.
Yeah, and here's a quick example. So let's say you have one spouse that has a large benefit, you have another spouse that doesn't necessarily have a record. You look here, and we have one spouse that has a $2,000 monthly income from Social Security. The other spouse does not have any benefit at all. So the spouse that doesn't have any benefit will claim the spousal benefit. So they will get half of this spouse. But if the spouse that has the larger benefit takes it early, it hurts the surviving spouse. And we have life expectancy of 85 and 94, so we're pushing this thing out pretty far. So the longer the spouse waits that has the record or has a larger benefit, the better off for the entire family. All right, so there's a lot more things to consider here, but if I have one spouse that has a large benefit and another spouse that has a lower benefit, the one with the larger benefit, if everything works out, right, you should push that thing out and you will collect a lot more dollars. If they claimed at 62, it's $355,000. If they waited till age 70, it's $465,000. That's a $100,000 difference. Okay? It's a huge difference of total cash in pocket, right? That's why these decisions are so important. If you want help with this, we have a free Social Security analysis. If you're single, widow, widower, it doesn't matter. We're here to help you out to maximize the benefit that you deserve. Go to yourmoneyyourwealth.com, click on that special offer. We'll be right back. Hey, welcome back to the program. Show's called Your Money, Your Wealth. My name's Joe Anderson. I'm a certified financial planner with Alan Clopine. He's a CPA. We're breaking things down from boosting your Social Security. Let's see how you did on the latest true false.
Social Security is mandated by law to include a cost of living adjustment each year. Joe, would you say that's true or false?
Mandated.
Yeah, mandated. That sounds pretty serious.
I don't know. I mean, I think that's false, but I think they give a pretty healthy COLA. This year was quite large.
They do. Well, and the truth is they check it every year. They look at cost of living, but they don't have to do an increase. And in fact, if you go back the last 10 years, Joe, I think there was a couple years maybe where there was no increase at all.
Well, there was very little inflation.
Just because there was little inflation. Yep. So they don't have to. So that's false.
So let's say if there's no inflation adjustment, so how do you get a little bit bigger boost, right? So we talked about taking it at 62, taking it at full retirement age, or taking it at 70. So what is really the bottom line here? How big of an increase is it? Well, it's pretty big. It's about a 76% boost to your overall benefit. And most of us will need the money later in life, right? Because if you run out of money at the market turns, or we do something with the overall cash, right? A lot of times it's better to wait, but the choice is yours, of course. If you take it at 62, you get a little bit lower benefit, but sometimes you might want to bridge that gap.
Well, I think so, yeah. So 62 to 70, you get 76% more benefit. So just be aware of that. We're living into our 90s. In fact, did you know this? A 65-year-old couple, the median age that at least one of you will live to is 92. So you got to plan into your 90s, and now with medical advances, it may be longer. So just be aware of that. But Joe, you're right. Bridging the gap is kind of, it's a tricky thing, right? So we're telling you to wait, but then you don't have this income for 8 years. So how do you figure that out?
Yeah, this is where planning really comes into play, where you'll have to sit down and kind of pencil this out, because you know your situation more than anyone. Most people, like almost 50% of men and women, take it at 62. Only 2 or 3% push it out until age 70. We just talked about the pros and cons to claiming on each side of the spectrum. But think of it like this. If you wanted to bridge that gap, right? Well, there's ways that you can create income from your portfolio, of course, right? So you look at, all right, you're going to be taking more dollars from the portfolio in those beginning years, but then that distribution rate is going to lower as that Social Security comes in, and the Social Security is going to be that much larger. So the amount that you have to pull from your portfolio is going to be that much less. Another really key important factor that a lot of people don't necessarily look or consider is the taxation of Social Security, right? Or the taxation of your other assets. If all of your assets are in, let's say, a 401k plan or IRA, 100% of that is going to be taxed at ordinary income rate, state and federal. So if you push out your Social Security and you increase that overall benefit, Social Security will be taxed to some degree for most of you, right? But it's tax favored. It's more tax favored than, let's say, a retirement account.
Yeah, and Joe, let's talk about that. So this is the way Social Security is taxed. It actually used to be not taxed, but I think it was back in the 80s where they changed that. And they came up with this thing called provisional income. So your provisional income is basically all your income plus half of Social Security. That's what provisional income is. And then you go to this table and figure out, all right, what is your income level? And so let's just say you're single, your income is below $25,000. Your Social Security is tax-free, right? So that's how this works. If it gets over between 25 and 34,000, then some of half of your Social Security will be taxable. And if you get over 34,000, up to 85% of your Social Security is taxable at your current tax rate. That's not the tax rate. That's how much of your Social Security would be taxed. So here's the thing is, another way to think about this is you're going to have at least 15% of your Social Security being tax-free. And by the way, many states, including California, where we're at, it's completely tax-free. So if you can push out this benefit, then you can have more tax-free income for life, and that can be a great benefit.
Yeah, without question. So it's not an 85% tax rate. Some people are like, oh, you're taxing my benefit 85%. No, 85% of the benefit would be subject to income tax at your current rate. So again, provisional income, you take a look at how are you creating income from different sources. IRAs, 401ks, 403bs, investments, dividend, interest, right? They kind of put all of that into a bucket and say, what is that number? And then they add half of your Social Security. One thing that they don't include in provisional income is Roth IRA distributions. So looking at tax diversification in the play here is key. So if you could start pulling money from Roth, they don't even look at that. So you could get your threshold lower and still have a higher income. So again, you can kind of play with your numbers depending on your situation. And as long as you know the rules to play by, right, you can really advance yourself from a tax perspective.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, they see these numbers and they go, well, my income's way over that. But the truth is you're retired in most cases, right? So your income may be lower than you think. You're getting money from your Roth IRA tax-free. You're pulling money out of your non-qualified, non-retirement account that you've already paid tax on. Maybe that's tax-free. You pull a little bit out of your IRA, half of your Social Security. Maybe you can stay below these numbers and be super tax efficient on the Social Security.
Yeah, very well said, Big Al. Let's switch gears. Let's go to Ask the Experts.
I qualify for the divorce benefit and my ex-husband just passed away. Does that mean I can collect on Social Security benefit earlier? And Sarah, the answer is yeah, potentially. So the basic rule is as a spousal benefit and your own benefit, the earliest is 62. As a survivor benefit, it is age 60. Unless you're disabled, it's actually age 50. So you could potentially collect earlier. Realize, though, the earlier you collect, then you will have a haircut for life. So just remember that.
Now, I didn't understand that question. I thought she was already was she claiming her ex-husband's benefit and then he died? And then can she claim the, well, if she's already claiming, isn't she in her...
Maybe she's claiming spousal. I'm not sure.
So, but yes, if he passed, then you can increase your overall benefit then to the survivor benefit. So the survivor benefit is 100%, not 50%. All right, let's go to the next question.
The Social Security lump sum death benefit is only $255. Is that expected to go up anytime soon? Most funerals cost thousands of dollars. Peter in San Diego. You're right, $255 is the amount. You have to apply for it. No, I don't think it's going to go up. It's not meant to cover the whole cost of the funeral, unfortunately.
Covers a shovel?
Yeah, I suppose, maybe.
Oh boy, that's generous. Thank you. All right, let's see what we learned today. Social Security, it's a big decision that you have to make. Who qualifies and for how much? We want to boost your benefits. You need to take a look at boosting as much as you possibly can. Potentially you want to bridge the overall benefits, or maybe more importantly, put together a comprehensive strategy for yourself that looks at the taxation of the overall benefits and your other income. Hey, if you want a Social Security analysis done, you can go to yourmoneyyourwealth.com. You can click on the special offer this week. Scroll down, you can click on the Social Security analysis to find out what is the best combination for you, your spouse, or you're single, widow, widower, whatever. That analysis will help you determine the best course of action given the details that you put in. All right, that's it for us. For Big Al Clopine, my name's Joe Anderson, and have a wonderful weekend, everyone, and we'll see you next week.